This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Eddie Picard, well-known Iowa jazz pianist who will be has the anchor spot in the 400 free relay that is Jazz Under the Stars, the fourth concert. Actually only three this year because we did have one rain out, but we had a great night at the third concert with Summit, and looking forward to a fun evening next time with you and your quintet. Eddie, welcome.
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, really glad that you came in. Glad to have this chance to sit down and talk with you a little bit about your music. We've known each other for years, but I've never really heard the Eddie Picard story about how a young man grows up in Belle Plaine, yes?
No, not Belle Plaine.
Williamsburg.
No. Guess again.
No, okay, that's it. I know it's one of those in the western
County area.
Yeah, in the western fringes of our area.
Yeah, absolutely. I studied piano when I was young with the nuns in Catholic school.
And this is where? Where did you grow up?
In Norway.
Norway, okay.
Yeah, and learned a lot from them. Or the one sister that I had was Sister Doris, and she really was an excellent teacher, and so I began there. And became interested in jazz when I was in high school, and then I went to Cornell College and formed my own group there, including a couple of jazz groups and also a rock and roll band I had. I played the guitar and learned all those Chuck Berry licks, and I had R.K. Scott on drums with me, and
three chords, cars and girls,
all that stuff. Yeah. But then when I got out of school, I decided not to teach. I wanted to stay on the performing side of things. So I went to, I guess my first big stop was in Chicago, where I played Chicago's famed Rush Street, and the Playboy clubs were going at the time, and I was there. I also played the London House, which was a wonderful jazz venue, and I played opposite George Shearing there, and also Ramsey Lewis and a few others. I just heard recently that they're reopening the London House on Michigan and Wacker.
I was in Chicago last week, and actually my wife was there on business, and she stayed at the London House, and she says it's delightful. She says it's great. They've just reopened. They're on the Hilton brand now.
Uh-huh. I'll bet the cover charge is more than it was.
Probably a little bit more. What was it then? Do you remember?
No, I don't, but I think you could sit at the bar for free, and now I've heard places like the Carlisle in New York and that are about $90 if you just want to go in for a minute.
So was this at the time you played some with another well-known Cedar Rapids native who did great in the Chicago scene, Rusty Jones?
Rusty Jones. I did right before we went to Chicago. Rusty and I had a group called the New Group, and we went to Salt Lake City. And we were short-lived out there. It was the summer, and our manager booked us at a ski resort in July, and nobody came. So
and then he complained that nobody showed up for your gigs.
Right. So that's when the two other guys, Kent Coy and Dick Kriz, headed for California, and Rusty and I came back to Chicago.
And how long were you in Chicago?
I was there until about 4 or 5 years, and then I went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I was there until 88, and then I came back to Cedar Rapids at that time. And since then, my wife and I opened up a jazz club.
We remember Club Jazz with a great deal of affection. That was one of the great spots in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, and we were there for 6 years, all through the 90s. So we were there from opened in 94 and closed in 2000 because they widened the street, took the building out, which was unfortunate. But while I was there, we had a lot of celebrities, and I can thank KCCK and also Dr. Feldkamp, who used to bring the guest stars out after the concerts.
Yeah, the artists would come to Kirkwood, do the master class, do a concert with the students, and then do a hit at your club.
Then hang
after
out
the concert.
afterwards,
Yeah.
and it was marvelous. I particularly remember the night that Russell Malone came.
I was there. That was
You were there.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
That was one of the most memorable nights of my career in that place. Russell came to play. He got on the stage. I don't know exactly what time it was.
Well, he practically did an entire another concert after having done a concert that night.
Yeah. He didn't get off. And there was another group there called the Miami Jazz Trio from who had just done a concert at Co. And they came in and they were eager to sit in. So they went up on my break, and Russell just stayed right up with them, played the whole night. And at the end of the night, he and I were there alone, and I shouldn't say this, but I think we locked the doors. And
the statute of limitations on drinking after hours, I think, has
over now?
passed. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you could say.
All right. Well, he and I were swapping saloon songs. He would do one, and then I would do one, and we went on till the wee hours. And finally, Dallas got to sit down and listen for a while too, because she was busy all night. She recalls that fondly. And then I also remember that he put out an album of ballads right after that, and all those songs that we did that night were on that album.
Talking with Eddie Picard about his life and career as we get ready to feature Eddie at Jazz Under the Stars coming up this Thursday. McGrath Amphitheatre, not in Old Ridge Park, so you're in the new venue, which has been a very fun place for us to have Jazz Under the Stars, one of our 4 over the last few years. So you talked a little bit about that night with Russell Malone as being kind of a highlight. As you think back over your playing and performing career, what's another thing that leaps out as being a great night?
Well, I got to know Jackie Gleason when I was in Florida. He used to come in the Palm Air Resort where I was working, and he would listen to what we were doing because we did all his favorite stuff. And one night, His Royal Highness Alfonsi Turkey was there.
He came in character.
Came in, and the real one.
From Turkey.
From there. And he was having a party, and he invited Gleason to come over and join them. Of course, he knew he was a celebrity, and he was having a birthday party for one of his wives, I think. And Gleason said, "No thanks, pal. I'm going to sit here and listen to Eddie Picard."
Party with the King of Turkey. Listen to Eddie Picard. That's a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people probably don't recall that Jackie Gleason actually started off as a band leader, so he knew his music.
He knew his music very well. He produced a lot of albums, and one of the albums he produced was Music for Lovers, and it was string, beautiful, orchestrated, and Bobby Hackett playing through the whole thing, the trumpet cornet player that was so marvelous, was included on that album.
Well,
Gorgeous
of course,
album.
you've been an important part of the jazz scene now in Cedar Rapids and Iowa for years and years, and we've had you at Jazz Under the Stars few times.
Yeah, we have.
And it's time to come back, and you're bringing the quintet, so there'll be 5. So tell me who is going to be collaborating with you at this gig.
Good. I'm glad you asked that. We have on drums John Wilson, and John has been with me now for 15 years. He got to town, and I was working in the piano store during the day, and he came in one day and said, "I heard you're the guy I'm supposed to talk to about playing jazz." And I said, "Okay, here, listen to these CDs, and I'll try to work you in." And it wasn't long after that he joined my band. John's a wonderful drummer and plays all styles. On bass right now, I'm having Craig Dove, good musician, plays piano, plays bass, sings. He's one of the bass players that I use on. There are others. On vibes is Rich Martin, and Rich has been with me for 15 years now.
He's a retired faculty member from Cornell.
Retired head of the English department at Cornell, and I promised him great things, and so he retired from there and bought his set of vibes and started playing again after not playing music for quite a while, but he certainly adds a lot to the group. And then on guitar, we have 5 players now, is Dave Richter. He's from Dubuque. He is also a marvelous all-around musician, plays all the stringed instruments, including electric bass and banjo and guitar. And I've been working with Dave this last part of the summer on the Mississippi riverboats. And we've been going up and down the Mississippi from La Crosse to Davenport and back and Dubuque, and it's been a real kick. We usually have a guitar, and then I play piano and bass, a trio.
Nice.
Known as the Eddie Picard Trio.
Nice. Well, that's that's kind of how jazz got started on the riverboats.
Isn't it romantic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It is cool.
I've heard of I know that boat. I didn't realize they had such high quality entertainment.
Well, thank you. It's the Queen of the Mississippi, and it's a new audience every week.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we also at the other end of the spectrum, we'll have a young player to kind of do a little opening act for you. Grant Lapointe. Grant is 13. He's a middle school student of Steve Shanley's on piano.
Mm-hmm.
He's been at our jazz band camp for the past, I think he just finished his 3rd year at jazz band camp. And he's been starting to play out a little bit. And actually, you kind of helped him get started in jazz playing.
Well, he did approach me, was it 2 or 3 years ago, and asked if I would help him with his lessons, and I wasn't taking any students at the time, so I suggested that he go to Coe and have work with Steve Shanley.
And that was the right thing to do, because he's blossomed into quite a player.
He got right on it. What a wonderful little gentleman he is.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. That'll be the first time we've ever done anything like that at Jazz Under the Stars.
Right.
And very, very exciting. Very exciting to feature a young player, but also very exciting to have watched him come up and hone his skills at our jazz band camp. And expecting great things.
Well, they develop quickly at that age, don't they?
They do. They do. Eddie Picard and will bring his quintet to Jazz Under the Stars at the McGrath Amphitheatre this Thursday night. Eddie starts at 7, but come at 6:30 to hear Grant's set, because you're really going to enjoy that as well. Come early, definitely. and enjoy Grant Lapointe prior to Eddie Picard and his quintet. Now, no spoilers, but is there anything you want people to be listening for? Or any moment that you're kind of planning with the band that you think is going to be or of particular interest to people?
A highlight, I'm going to do some Count Basie and Duke Ellington and some standards. And a lot of times I work off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
The guys would rather I spell it all out, but I have to read my audience.
Sometimes you call an audible.
Right.
Well, Eddie, really looking forward to it. It's been, it's always been so great playing your music and having you in concert over the years, and a great pleasure to have you at Jazz Under the Stars again this year.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you.